Hello everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Virtual Coffee Chat or Right Click Save As. I have changed names to this series so many times, but I have an amazing guest with me, my brother, also known as BCC in the Web3 world or the metaverse, and he has been a guest exactly 1 year ago on my channel, and that was the very first time I made the content around NFT marketing. And at that time, I was a student. I was just beginning my journey in Web3. And that was the chat where I wanted to record it because I knew that I was going to get a lot of information from that conversation. And because it is the first year anniversary of that conversation, I invited him once again to the channel because it is a year later and a lot of things have changed in the NFT world. So we're going to discuss NFT marketing, but let me give a warm welcome again to BCC. Hi.
Hi, thank you. Happy to be here. Thanks for hosting this again. It's crazy how a year has passed and crazy how much things have changed in my personal journey, Web3 journey, in your journey, because last time we did this, you were just barely getting interested in the topic. I was the community manager for CyberKongs at that time, which I was gaining a lot of experience. And then I went on to actually co-founding a project, one of the big ones right now in this space. And now here we are actually co-founding two projects together. So very excited about this recording and excited to talk about all the changes in the whole space.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, a lot of things have changed in the space in Web3 and in NFTs, but a lot of things have changed in our personal lives and career journeys as well. And it's a good reminder that a year can actually make such a big difference in someone's life. So that's just a good personal reminder. So we're going to try to keep it concise, short, and sweet, and we're going to talk all about NFT marketing and specifically what has changed since last year. So we'll be referring to some of the maybe findings and points that we made last year throughout the video. And I'll go ahead and start with a question that doesn't directly sound like it's about marketing, but it impacts marketers so much in the space, and that is, what has actually changed in this space? Because the trends that we saw last year are very much different from what we are seeing right now. The market has matured, the audience has matured, and so I want to talk about overall what you observe as trends in the space and how that is reflecting to founders or marketers that are trying to communicate their messages in Web3.
Good question. So a lot has changed, like you said, in the space, because this is a brand new space and it just literally got popular at maybe the first quarter of last year, 2021. And then we were all just experiencing the whole space and going with the flow, new projects coming up. And now I feel like we are past the infancy stages of the whole space, and everybody who has been in this space for a while now, at least, they know better, so they will not fall into the same tricks they did, so to say, last time. So the whole space has changed. I feel like people are more and more talking about their projects as companies, which is the right way to go about. This actually has been a hot topic on Twitter lately. I've been noticing a bunch of thought leaders in the space are telling each other to stop calling their projects because they're actually companies, and people who are buying your NFTs are actually customers. They're not just collectors like we maybe sometimes took them as last year as founders, or founders took other people as collectors. Oh, this is nice art, so they'll just collect a piece. I feel like that era has been left in the past. Maybe, of course, there are some collections who still have that value for collecting, such as some generative art collections, maybe CryptoPunks. They still don't have any utility, so to say, for that collection, so it's a collectible. But now with the newer projects that are coming up, people in the space, they want to see what this company's forecast is for the next 2, 5, 10 years, not just 6 months. Oh, let's just flip stuff, NFTs. So I feel like the customers are maturing. They're learning a lot more about what to look for in a project. Maybe they want to see it be more of a company vision. They want more doxed founders. They don't want to work with anonymous people anymore because lots of bad experiences happened over the last year. So now when I go to my friends and talk about the projects that we're building. They're excited about the idea, the art, and everything. But the first thing that I'm hearing from them is like it's worth doxing for such a project. And good news is like our whole team is doxed. But yes, this is like what customers or investors in this space are looking for. They want to know who they're dealing with. They want to know who they're trusting with their money, investment, or energy. Like put aside the other things. Like if you believe in a project, you start dreaming about it, about its future, and then like we call it getting rugged. Like if that project gets rugged or the founders just give up, if they're anonymous, there's like literally nobody to go ask any questions at. So that comes with like the maturing of the space, the investors, which leads into the founders maturing as well. Now I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of founders in the space, and I feel like they're all looking at their projects as companies. They're trying to look at it with that view. So like the whole space is moving forward.
Agreed. And on the marketing front, I think that translates into now Web3 brands. Number one, I think that's a very important point, right? So we're not referring to them as only projects, which was one of my first like findings as soon as I stepped into this world. I was saying like $1 million businesses, even $1 billion businesses are being built on Discord chats, and they are calling themselves projects. So this year that has significantly changed. And what that translates into on the founders front is that I think they are more aware that they need to work on a brand identity. They need to have a better story. They need to identify who their audience is, compared to last year where it was, I have this idea, I have this like cute art, I'm just throwing it out in the world and let's see where it sticks kind of thing. So this year on the branding front, I think marketers and founders are really maturing and being a lot more intentional, and this also means that a lot more I'm going to say brands or projects from now on, like they also take it more seriously from the get-go versus launching their collections and then later on in the process they were looking for marketing support. So now it's like kind of coming, I guess, moving a little bit back to even the ideation phase. Okay, so that brings me to, we've talked about like changes in this space, how that translates overall to branding and storytelling. What do you think in terms of the channels? Like, have we seen a big difference in terms of which channels people are using to talk about their businesses, their ideas, and building communities? Has it changed?
Some yes and some no. So let's compare last year to now. Last year, Discord was very popular. It was just getting more popular. Like the demand for Discord usage was increasing. Everybody was telling their friends to get on Discord and get in these communities chats. And like you said, sometimes projects would just launch and they wouldn't even have a website often. Like they would just launch from the smart contract, means from smart contract, only like back in the day, only smart contract or NFT geeks were able to do it. And then they would build on everything on top of it, which started with Twitter and then Discord. And Discord was the main place to be. But now what has changed, in my opinion, in my observation, is basically a lot of people, especially like busy people in the space, not just like flippers or traders, but like busy people building companies or doing investments in this to invest or actually to network and then get value out of their networks. They're getting very Discord fatigued, and this is even a term now, Discord fatigue. Like now we're building our projects, and even though like we're paying very close attention to keeping it very minimal, very less like not crowded, very much like more simple, straightforward, people don't even want to come in on Discord. They're like, I have enough servers, like I already tapped out my 100, or they're like, oh, I just deleted Discord, I don't want to get back on it. So in terms of those, I feel like Discord is getting very late to adopt the NFT space. The whole Web3 people like us in the space, we started using Discord because of its customization features, the bots, whatever. It just worked last year. But Discord as a company, I feel like didn't actually own this. And they talked about maybe incorporating NFTs and wallets so they could just like check it instead of third-party apps, which sometimes might be not really secure. But they went back on their word and they decided not to do that. So that's like a huge choice on Discord's behalf. on, and they were like, so I guess they decided to go more with the gamers audience and community, which is what they built the product out for at the first place. So that is resulting in Discord losing a bunch of its Web3 audience, I feel like. So what's the other channel? I've been seeing more and more communities start using Telegram because it's more mobile friendly. I guess it's more secure in some ways because Discord can actually log into or connect to your wallet if that's the choice the community made. So I guess Discord usage, in my experience, observation, is getting less and less. And communities are exploring other options, which may be maybe WhatsApp or Telegram, or even we were on like a Google video call with 50 other people the other day. So people in this space are exploring other channels, but I don't think there's a clear winner just yet. But I feel like next year, or maybe in the very short term, like over the next few months, I feel like there will be a huge up and coming Discord competitor for Web3 space. And I feel like everybody will move to that. But for now, yes, Discord usage is dropping. There's such thing called Discord fatigue now. It's much harder to get people on your Discord server, even if you put in a lot of work. But on the other hand, what hasn't changed is Twitter. Twitter has been adapting to NFTs and Web3 very well. They have the data. They can see it. Web3 people, NFT people basically live partially on Twitter, so they're probably the most active users on Twitter, and Twitter's owning this, and they're like, okay, we welcome Web3 and NFT technology, and they introduced the NFT verified profile pictures, the Octagon and Octagon, and Hexagon, Octagon. I guess it's like whatever. It's like you can verify NFT ownership on Ethereum right now, but they will expand it to other chains very quickly, very soon, in my opinion. They are allowing some third-party apps to be developed on Twitter. So Twitter is definitely still the main place to talk about your project, to actually connect with, network with other communities, for people from other communities. Because it's really hard to go, let's say you like this other community and you want to meet somebody from that community. It's very hard to get into their Discord, get your voice heard, whatever. Twitter is much easier if you know how to use it. So Twitter definitely is the number one medium. It was last year and it still is. So I feel like Twitter is going nowhere in terms of community management on Web3 world, NFTs, or actually marketing it in our topic. Yeah.
I'll add a little bit to your observations. I'm not gonna add the same points because I had like very similar observations. But in addition to that, what I'm seeing is because of that Discord fatigue and because of not everyone kind of being able to, I guess, keep up with the utilities of the communities they're a part of. This year, I'm seeing a lot of more social media aggregators or feed aggregator kind of tools that are being built so that members can, on a single feed, they can see all the updates that they are interested in seeing from the communities that they're a part of. So that's something that I'm seeing this year, but that is another tool to onboard to and keep on your desktop or on your mobile phone, whatever. So we're going to see how easily we adapt to that, but that's one change from last year. The other is, I think, compared to last year, because as soon as I heard about NFTs and Web3, I was like, is there any content on YouTube? Because I'm a YouTube consumer as much as I am a creator. So I went on YouTube and there was very little amount of content on NFTs, metaverse, Web3, all of those subjects. So this year, when I compare to last year, I think YouTube is being used a lot more. And there are so many creators that are specifically focused on this niche now. And last year, when we put out last year's video, the first one, that was the first ever content on NFT marketing, I believe, on YouTube. This year, when you search for NFT marketing, you're going to see tens or a lot of NFT marketing videos. So that shows me that is a new channel that's popping up.
Yeah, and to add to your point there with YouTube, I used to make NFT videos in Turkish last year, and I recently just switched to English, and I opened a brand new channel and I'm sharing. I see, even though there are sometimes maybe 80 views on a single video about NFTs that I make, I've received 8 or 9 DMs from people I know. They're like, oh, this is so great, please keep them coming, this is great. There's demand for content on YouTube, and I feel like video content is unmatched still in terms of getting your point across, getting the emotions across, and the sincerity across. And like going back to our first topic, like we talked about the importance of doxing or being like yourself in this space is becoming, because at first last year it was totally acceptable for a founder to remain completely anonymous. Nobody knew where they were, whatever, their face, voice, and they could just use maybe an avatar in some cases. But now the whole space is changing. It's more like a startup scene, and people want to know who is in charge because they're trusting with their time, energy, whatever, money. So yeah, YouTube is definitely an up and coming medium, I feel like, especially for marketing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think community management too, because last year or throughout last year sometime, for Ninja Squad, we were actually doing some of like the town halls or some like how-to guide type of videos on YouTube, and it's easier to get your message across that way too. So you can use it for the top of the funnel to attract attention to whatever you are working on, but also you can use it for the guides that support your members throughout their journey of being a member in your community. So I think there are multiple uses, and just putting a face to the business, I think, is like unmatched in terms of how powerful it can make it.
Absolutely. Okay, and so before we go to the next topic, I want to add something there. Maybe somebody from Twitter with some decision-making powers will watch this. I really am hoping that Twitter comes up with something like a Discord competitor and to like onboard the whole Web3 community, so we can just like manage our communities right on Twitter, maybe from a different tab or something, so we don't have to onboard all of these people to a new medium. So I've been hoping Twitter did this since last year, maybe 2 years now, but I really hope they're working on it behind the scenes and we see that coming soon.
Yeah, now wouldn't that be amazing and efficient?
Yep.
All right, so we talked about channels too. Now, a big question, which I honestly don't have an answer to. I have some observations, but I don't think there's like a science to it, but I want to get your opinion. So what is the secret to being viral and getting that incredible amount of attention by primarily leveraging Twitter as your communication channel? And also, to add to that, do you think being viral means that a brand, a project is going to be successful? Because I think it kind of skews the metrics that we're looking at when we look at like how viral a project is or how viral a social post is. So I want to get your opinions on what that means for this space.
Sure. First of all, I don't think there is an exact formula to becoming viral with a content. It's not, a project doesn't go viral very easily. Maybe a piece of content will. According to Gary, if you keep pumping out content, you have more chances. Like you keep trying, let's say you send out like 6 or 7 quality tweets. They can't be trash because you'll get muted if they're like trash content. But 6 or 7 high quality and different angled content gives you a higher chance of becoming viral, maybe one of them becoming viral, which means you'll get a lot more eyes on your logo, on your brand, on that piece of content, and maybe some more content that you create. You got to be ready when that happens. Like you gotta have a solid foundation for people to come and look at when one of your content sticks and when it's viral. And then if for a project to get viral, which we've actually seen in a couple cases, like Goblin Town, they were just like good timing, good art, like a bunch of different details. They had a very high quality website. They had good art. They came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting them. And then they were very different. They even started using different typeface fonts and stuff for their whole project and communications. So they were just doing it very differently in that specific case. And they timed it very well. It couldn't have been timed better. I don't think it was like strategy. It was more a combination of strategy, lots of hard work with the quality work they put out, and also luck. There's definitely a luck factor in going viral. And coming to the second question, does becoming viral as a project or a piece of your content, let's say it gets 10 million views or something, does that guarantee success? Definitely and absolutely not. It might actually even hurt the project, and I've seen this happen more than 10 times. Last year, a project just goes viral with people having completely unrealistic expectations of it, just like buying it to sell it to the next person, not to actually get in the community because it's becoming viral, which actually connects me to my first point. Like if you have a solid foundation before becoming viral as a project or one of your piece of contents, if you actually have a solid foundation, it's more easier to get people in there and onboard them actually to the project with more realistic expectations. But if they think this project's just going to 10x in a day because Gary Vee tweeted about it, that's completely unrealistic expectations. You have no idea where that's going to go. Nobody can actually guess where the top or the dip is for price wise. So it might actually hurt a project to go viral before they're ready and before they have a solid foundation for people coming in, and like they have a system in place for onboarding new people and then keeping them in the community instead of them just looking to flip it to the next person the next day, which in that case really hurts the projects. And like I said, we've seen more than 10 examples of this. Some projects just like Karafuru, for example, last year, just rocketing up to like crazy prices, like 4 or 5 ETH floor prices because of like a lot of a lot of people with influence in the space started tweeting about this project. So everybody had FOMO. They bought this without even knowing what it is or who's behind the project. And now I was just checking the other day, I believe the floor price is like down to 0.1. That's a huge loss. Like if I was the founder of that project, I would rather keep a steady 1 ETH floor instead of just like going up all the way and then roller coastering back down. So becoming viral, if you're not ready as a project, could actually hurt the project and definitely does not guarantee success.
Yeah, and it seems to also be really, really significantly hurting the people who invest into the project because of that FOMO factor. And one thing I wanted to add to it is it sounds like, or my observation is also this, is the virality of a project is usually associated, in my opinion, with monetary expectations. People invest in it not because they are being intentional and they are being selective about the community they're almost going to be a part of, but it's because of the fact that they see it's viral and they don't want to miss it. So I think that's not a smart and healthy way to, become a part of a project, become associated with a project. And it's, as you said, it's not healthy for the founder either. So
absolutely agreed.
It's like this double-edged sword, kind of, because
Right.
up and coming projects want to be viral because they want attention, they want to be heard, but at the same time, it's probably not good for them and their holders. So
I actually want to give an
situation.
example there for our audience to understand better what we mean. I'll give an example of a bad viral and then a good viral, so to say. A bad viral would be, let's say, a project launched just today, it's sold out, whatnot, or like it was selling regular, like casual minting, and then Gary Vee saw this or bought one and he liked it. He decided to like pump it up to the moon. So he tweets about this, and then this comes to your point where people are like, they have more monetary expectations out of it. They just want to get in before the next person so they can sell it for a higher price. That is bad virality, in my opinion. What would be an example of good virality that would actually benefit the project? Let's say for our upcoming project WAGMIs, we speak with Tim Ferriss, for example, and he is really fitting, like his whole aura and what he does professionally is very fitting for our community. And then somehow he decides to get in on WAGMIs, and then he agrees to hosting like one podcast with our community every 2 weeks. And then he tweets about this, like, I'm happy to join the WAGMIs fam. Every 2 weeks, I'm going to spend 30 minutes talking to the community and answering some of their questions. And then people who want to actually engage with Tim Ferriss or a community that he likes to engage with buys into this community. That's more a good virality. Then you actually get people coming in for the value, the long-term value, more than like the next day value, monetary value.
100%. That's a great example. And hopefully, Tim Ferriss, we'd love to have you on board.
Absolutely.
All right, that brings me to an important point that I want to talk about. It's the power of connections and your network being your net worth in a way. So someone recently just wrote that kind of quote, saying, whatever, for me, and right. I was like, let's discuss this on this video. in my 1 year of being full-time in Web3, one of the key things that I have learned is the more people you know and the more strong connections you make in this space, the easier you can get feedback, the easier you can iterate on what you are doing, and the easier you can also find your audience in this space. What do you think about connections? What is a good way to make connections? What has been the importance of having a strong network in Web3, and how has that impacted your founder journey?
Great question. So yes, your network is your net worth, and that just goes into all aspects of life, in my opinion. But in Web3, just like everything else, this just amplifies, the power of that amplifies. And let's say, since you asked the founder's journey, now we're working on new projects, which is going to be minting next week. First time announcing this actually in this video. But so people who don't even have the time maybe to look into the details of that project know me from the space. They know my reputation. Maybe I've helped them along the way. I helped them drastically along the way. Maybe I showed them the way, and then it just gave them a different opportunity. So it's being more genuine with people and giving with no expectations. This just goes for every aspect of life, in my opinion, because I am a big believer of karma, and what goes around comes around. And in Web3, this whole system just works so much more faster than in real life. In Web3, in the crypto land, I personally believe, and this is from experience too, that karma or whatever you give out actually comes back to you very fast. And obviously, whatever you give out, you're giving this out for other people. It's not just robots or anything. If you're giving out value, you're giving it out for other people. Let's say you're giving out value to a group of 100 people. 90 of them don't really care. They take the value and run away. 10 of them remember you, and they're like, oh, this is a good guy, hard worker, or this woman is a woman of her words, or something. You build this reputation with people, and they start remembering you. And then when time comes and you're building a new project or working on something new and you're putting your name under it, people are sometimes they don't even have to look at the details of the project to be able to be convinced to actually invest in it. So, and obviously we're working with computers and technology and crypto and all of that, but actually what is on the other side of the screens is other people. So it's just your network is your net worth, because it's obviously you would have to be providing people value, but there is competition. A lot of people are trying to provide value. Why you, right? That comes from your network, from your reputation. So reputation is very important. Even if some people think you can remain anonymous in the space and then you can pull multiple scams, whatever. Not really. If you get tagged, if people know you're the same person, they're not going to trust in you again. Maybe they will for short-term monetary reasons, but they will not be investors of your project long-term, 2-5 years, because they know you have a bad reputation of taking people's money and running away. So definitely networking is very important, especially if you're a founder. But even if you're not a founder, I remember when I started my own journey and when I first got into actually got into a community and which I felt I belonged in, which was CyberKongs. I was just without expecting anything from anybody. I was just trying to help everybody as much as I can, bring more value to the table. And as I was doing this, maybe I'm doing 10 things, but I got helped 2 times, and then that was multiplied, and it was much more value than I was putting out. And then these people actually become your friends if you're genuine, and if you're sincerely not expecting anything from people, you just want to help them out. Over some time, not even too long, over maybe a few months, you can actually bond with people, and they're your friends and your network. So when the time comes and you just are looking for a 5-minute feedback, and this person has a very specific angle of looking at things, you can just hit them up and be like, hey, can I just take 5-10 minutes of your time? And you can't just cold call that talk usually. It's very hard to get that meeting if you don't know that person, or they don't know you. But if you know them, if you exchanged some DMs before, if you gave them some alpha about an up and coming project 6 months ago, they're much more likely to respond to you for feedback or anything else you may need from them.
Agreed. I have thankfully been also able to meet a lot of people, especially through the YouTube channel really helped, because last year when I was on my learning journey, I was interviewing a lot of people. And interestingly, one thing that I really liked about Web3 was that being able to access people was a lot easier than in Web2. So being able to get a hold of a founder that you admired or respected their work, it was a lot easier. And it still is a lot easier compared to Web2, in my opinion. And I was able to invite them over to my channel. And now, 1 year fast forward, it's wonderful to be able to say that, those are connections that I can reach out to whenever I want to chat about something, when I want to get feedback on something, etc. And the support is like ongoing between I guess among that community.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, I want to add here, it's easier to make connections in the Web3 space, especially if you're not just like a newcomer into the space. Maybe it's hard for a newcomer too, but like you have your wallet address. So everything you did on the blockchain is actually on the blockchain. So anybody, like when, for example, somebody reaches out to me and I have some free time and they have their like wallet address or ENS like right on their Twitter profile, I will go to their wallet and see what they did, like to see if they're worth giving my 5 minutes, because I don't know the person. But if they, for example, did some spectacular trades, whatever, so there's like something I can gain from them, or they have like a good reputation. Like even your Ethereum wallet address is your reputation, and it could be used in unlocking some big networking opportunities.
Okay. That is an important note, and I'm going to insert a little sneak peek right here, because one of the brands that we are building right now, RUGLESS, again, co-founding with, among us and another co-founder, is actually going to be solving this exact issue. So it is going to be, I'm not going to give that much of a sneak peek here, but it is going to bring transparency into Web3, is how we like to see it. And when it comes to like specific wallet addresses, you're going to be able to actually add referrals or recommendations for people and review your interactions and engagements with people alongside all kinds of other brands and communities in Web3. And that's going to be called RUGLESS. So I'll leave some links in the description below. And if you're interested, it's going to be huge. Do follow us on Twitter, and you'll get to be like notified as soon as something there's something that we want to share. So I'll just insert that and then move on to my last and probably shortest question, but it is something super important. It's the role of being consistent and showing up as a founder, as a marketer. I think it's underrated, and so I wanted to just talk about that, because I think that ties in well with like how you build your reputation. What does like being consistent mean as a brand and as a person in Web3?
Good question. It's actually very important, like you said, and especially during the bear market times, like bad times when the market's not really doing well. People have their doubts about NFTs. They're like, oh, are NFTs a scam? Were they a scam all along? Should I just leave the whole space? Or they're actually leaving this space or thinking about leaving this space. They want to see some positive thought leaders in this space. And if you're consistently showing up, even in a bear market, when everybody has questions about the sustainability of the whole market or the world economy or whatever, like if you're showing up, they're like, if you're like, I'm here, I'm doing my thing, I'm still talking about WAGMI vibes, like I'm building this project, guys, it's okay. I don't care if world war goes down. Obviously, that's an extreme example. But like people, especially who are just getting into the space or who are not as experienced as you, they want to hear from you, and on a consistent basis too. Like if you miss a GM, or if you miss like a tweet on Twitter, people are like, maybe they have some question marks. Oh, is this guy actually all in? Where is he? Like he didn't show up today. It's kind of like not showing up to office, and if you're in the Web3 space. Or in Discord chats, like if you're not going to show up, if as a founder especially, you got to let people know, give them a heads up, like, guys, I'm going to take 2 days off the grid, whatever, just rest, relax. Let them know before leaving, because obviously, especially your community is going to want you to show up and be there for the community, and just like show up with vibes if that's your thing, or show up like for the community, be in the conversation. You can't just be a spectator, especially if you want to be a founder. But role of consistency in becoming successful in this space is very, very high. Like if, for example, as a founder, if I'm looking for like a social media person, if I want to hire somebody, I want that person to be tweeting consistently or using their Instagram consistently multiple times a day with quality content. And if they end up missing like 3 days out of nowhere on Twitter, like without any heads up, then maybe like they'll be off my list of social media managers, you know? So being consistent in whatever you do is very important. Like if you're tweeting out alpha tweets or like alpha projects for everybody, just try to do it on like a daily basis, on Twitter at least, or on Discord. Like show up for your community so people can actually start recognizing your name or nickname or your profile picture, whatever. And this goes for Twitter as well. Like if you're consistent, if you're consistently tweeting, and if you're not being annoying, like not getting muted by people, they keep seeing your profile more and more, especially if the quality of your content is increasing. They keep seeing you with better quality tweets and associating you. And after like seeing you maybe for like 15, 16, 20 times, they might start engaging with your tweets because they know what your vibe is. They know what you push out, the type of content you push out, because it's kind of like, especially on Twitter for founders, if they're like engaging with tweets or liking them, it's kind of like endorsing that person or brand. Mm-hmm. So you got to form your brand and be consistent. If you're just like tweeting once every month, nobody's going to want to engage with your tweets because they don't want to endorse you because you're not consistent. So yeah, consistency, in my opinion, is very, very, very much required for success in the space and for learning too. Like if you're trying to learn something, let's say you're trying to learn a new language. I read in a book the other day, you can't miss more than 2 days, I believe. You can't miss more than 2 days if you're trying to learn a new language. And if you're serious about it, you can't miss more than 2 days consecutively. Yes, there it is. Yes, exactly. So if you're missing out on the third day, your probability of actually learning that new language drops a lot. And the same thing goes with the Web3 market too.
That is interesting. Yeah. And I'm now like trying to put it into context, and I think that does pretty much apply. And it's from the brand account side of things as well, it's there is really no taking time off for Web3 brands, because it is a living organism every single minute of the day, every single day. And despite the market conditions, I think that's an important point as well. Whatever's happening, you still got to keep going. And as a founder or as a brand, that's expected 100%.
Exactly. Like big brands who are having their shares being traded on the stock market. When the stock market loses 50% of its value on average, if they stop showing up, if they stop sharing, if they stop working at the office and telling people they're keeping at what they're doing, they don't care about the current stock prices, like they have a future vision, they're working, they keep showing up. And if they don't do that, more and more people are just going to get out of that stock. They're going to sell it because they already have this FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt in the market. And if, especially brand wise, if they're not showing up in hard times, then that just like raises the question mark to a whole new level. Like, what is this brand doing? Are they in it only for the bull season? You know, if you're a brand, it's actually more important to show up, maybe provide more content because other people are providing less content, so you actually have less competition, so you can actually give people a better sense of trust and into your work and your vision.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, the association between trust and consistency is crucial to recognize, I think. And with that, I think that wraps up like all the questions that I had. I just realized that I forgot to talk about something within the connections and network topic. So I'm just going to touch base on that. And then I'm going to switch the mic to you to add any final points that you want to make, and then we can wrap up. But the power of connections, one thing we forgot to talk about there is that when you are than in a marketer or a founder position that needs to communicate about your project. The giveaways, the collaborations, the partnerships, the co-created content, that all comes from the connections that you've made. So it's not that only you are learning from people and getting feedback or like having one-on-one conversations, but it's also the, I guess, collaboration between brands also happens through your community and your network. So I just noticed that I forgot to comment on that, but that is super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we just recently had an example of this. For example, Yoga Pets is one of the most hyped up projects in the whole space now without even announcing when they're going to mint. They have about nearly 250K followers on Twitter. People are going crazy for their whitelist, and they nearly had basically zero allocations at a point where I was able to reach out to them because I knew the founders personally to tell them about our project, WAGMIs, and request some spots from their allow list. And I was able to pull that off only due to my personal connection with these people that I actually formed in other communities prior to this one. So if you don't have that connection, you will get turned down most of the times. Like you need to know people, or you need warm referrals to take you to that person. So it really is all about your network. Like I get it. Some of us, we want to be introverts behind our screens sometimes, but that's not really the way to success in this space. It more looks like 10 video calls in a day with the new people, meeting new people, exchanging ideas. That's what really success looks like. Like people want to see your face. It's better to see the other person's face and actually engage in more sincere, genuine connections, which are actually forming your network over the long run. It's like it's actually harder to form a network on Twitter. Like just because you get a follow back from somebody doesn't mean they're actually in your network. I've lived through this many times. Like some big names, big accounts, they give me a follow back, whatever, sometimes engage with my tweets. Whenever I DM them, 90% of the time, if I haven't actually met them before on a personal level, I get no response. That's just how it is. So like your followers on Twitter is not really your network. The people you actually meet one by one is your network.
100% agree. I wanted to specifically highlight this fact because when I asked my audience about what they want to hear and what they want to get answered, this was something like this is a regular topic that comes up is how do you organize these collaborations? How do you do these partnerships? And it is really, there is no like easy answer to it. It is really the connections that you make and the relationships you build in time. So
and your reputation.
It's not a short way to do it. There is no like shortcut to it, I guess. But this is definitely how it is being done. So this is something I keep talking about, like, meet people, have conversations, like, have one-on-one conversations and invest some time into getting people. So that is different from how you can potentially do things in Web 2, but that's important to make note of. And with that, do you have like any last points to wrap up? Any like key secrets you want to share or anything like that?
I mean, I don't want to share all of my secrets. Just joking. But what I want to say is like this, just like you said, the Web3 space, like everything else, the startup space, whatever, Web2, all of it. It's like a living and breathing organism. The Web3 space is just like growing at a much higher pace than what it used to be. So you got to actually like show up and you got to be a good observer to see the new trends. Like whatever we talk on this video might not be super 100% relevant in 2 months time. Exactly. This space is changing at such a high pace. Like if we had this video 6 months ago, 9 months ago, this conversation would be so much different because like people are changing. The way people are looking at the space is changing. So that would be my biggest tip, like to leave with this video. Just like to be a good observer, don't take anything as like bold lines. Things might change very quickly. And there aren't any like actual formulas to networking or asking people for something and getting it back. So these are all like different on a case by case basis. But the secret, as Steve Jobs and many other successful entrepreneurs, innovators say, is not taking no as an answer, but like also keeping your quality high and providing value for the people. You can't just be annoying or you'll get muted or blocked right away.
100%. That's a great note to wrap up this conversation. And once again, thank you so much. Like we dropped so many gems on this throughout this conversation, and hopefully founders and marketers, you were able to take a lot from this conversation. I mean, like I am a part of it, and I have taken quite a bit from this conversation. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll have more and more of these chats, because as you said, things change pretty fast in the space, and we might need to repeat it, and we might need to come up with like discuss our new observations. So thanks so much
Absolutely.
for your time, and everyone,
My
thank you
pleasure.
so much for being here and watching. Please do comment, like, subscribe, and I'm going to have some links for you guys to follow in the descriptions below and the chat box below as well. So let us know what you thought of this video, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, please do. See you guys next time.
Bye-bye.